Good evening and welcome to Press Play. I'm Cedric Fisher. If you're just joining us for the first time, Press Play is a weekly broadcast from Black Video News Network. You could find us at blackvideonews.com or go to Facebook and like our Facebook page, Black Book Studios. And you could find tonight's episode of Press Play, all previous episodes and future episodes of Press Play on YouTube. Just go to your search bar and type in Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces. Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces. While you're there, look to the right and click on the subscribe button. We appreciate that. Once you pull up the channel, you'll see Press Play episodes. Look for this episode and press play. As you know, we've changed the format in the past couple of weeks of Press Play. We now feature news before we introduce our special guests. So this particular evening, we'll talk about some local regional news, some significant things going on in the African American market regionally. And then we'll bring on our featured guest for the evening. We got a real special person we want to introduce you to. Let's talk about the news, current news. So you guys heard, most of you have heard that we have our first African American female vice presidential candidate in the Democratic Party. And she will join, if you go to our website, you'll see it in the screen here. She will join Joe Biden, the Joe Biden ticket for 2020. So Kamala Harris is the new vice presidential choice or candidate for the upcoming election in November. We want to give her some applause, and we're just pleased to know that we've got some real diversity going. That'll be potentially arriving at the White House. That's Kamala Harris. And again, you could find it on our website, blackvideonews.com. Blackvideonews.com, by the way, has been identified and awarded a stellar award by the Gospel Music. Let me just find it here. The Gospel Music Network, GMA, Gospel Music Association, we're awarded their stellar award for Black Video News Network. The show will air sometime this month. We believe it's on the 24th, but you could Google it to find out more information about that. That's the Stellar Awards, and Black Video News Network has been given an award, so we're happy to know that. Some more local news. The AT&T Center has become one of the social distance hubs for the November election. So that'll be some information that's coming out soon. They call it a mega voting center. And again, it's been equipped for social distancing so that folks can come out during the age of COVID and vote in person. That's good information. Some football fans, you guys are, if you've been paying attention, you know that the season, or at least a lot of the conferences are now canceling the season and coming back in the spring with their football programs. That'll be interesting for football fans, of course, and as it pertains to this particular market, the Alamo Bowl and the Army All-Star Game will not happen this year. So make sure you pay attention to that. In addition to that, we've got at the airport, HMS Host, which is part of the Auto Grill SPA employer, one of the world's largest providers of travel, industry-related food and beverage services, plans to lay off about 120 San Antonio workers at the airport. It's a big deal. According to the information from the Texas Workforce Commission, this will happen starting October 15th. So if you're currently employed there, I'm sure you probably have the information, but it's something to pay attention to. All this is a result, obviously, of COVID-19 and the fact that it's back, and it's back in a big way in our city here in San Antonio. Okay, let's talk about another great happening in San Antonio. And if you guys are familiar with this particular program, San Antonio has been awarded the U.S. Space Command program. part of the newest Defense Department Unified Commands. So stay tuned for this program is obviously it's actually in phase 2 now. So stay tuned for more to come for the U.S. Space Command that will happen here in San Antonio. Also wanted to mention, if you are familiar with our COVID site, and we're going to talk a little bit more about health in a minute once we take a break, blackimpactsab.org is our all things COVID comprehensive website. A lot of resources that we'll go through in a second here. But for those of you who are not familiar with it, we have a nonprofit side of our company here. Black Book Studios is a part of the Black Video News Network channel and broadcast. Vista Products is the parent company. Black Book Studios is a nonprofit. Black Impact SAB is the COVID program that goes with the nonprofit. Want to make sure you guys are aware of that. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about health issues, COVID-19, and then we'll eventually bring on our special guest for the evening. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Mary Dennis, and I'm the mayor of the city of Live Oak, Texas. And I'm here today to make sure you know that you matter, that you count, that we are very excited about this upcoming census 2020. And please know that you matter and we need your information. So when you receive your invitation to fill out the information for the census, please be sure that you get that done and get it mailed back as soon as possible. Why this does matter is because this involves federal and state and local dollars that we need in our communities to make our communities better, because we care about your quality of life. This helps us with funding for fire station, for community centers, for housing, and all the things that make a city great. So remember, you count.
Hi there, this is Terry with Frost.
Good evening, this is Franklin. This is Robert with Frost.
Hello, this is Rosemary with Frost Bank.
One, 6, or a dozen trees. No job is too big or too small. Booker's Tree Services is a certified arborist and state licensed company. On the ground or in the air, we are here to take care of all your tree needs, from stump grinding, tree pruning, tree trimming, tree removal, and much more. Call the professionals to help manage your commercial or residential needs. Don't let your trees make you nervous. Call for a free estimate today at Booker Tree Service, 210-657-8085.
In the 2020 census, everyone will count. If you lived in the county for only a few weeks or for your entire life, you count. If you live alone, with family, with friends, you all count. Everyone in San Antonio counts because an accurate count determines the number of congressional seats for Texas and how billions of federal dollars gets distributed annually to our community for healthcare, education, and transportation. So on April 1st, everyone living in your household should get counted as part of the 2020 census.
The greatest night in gospel music is back. Bigger, better, bolder. Brothers and sisters. The 35th Annual Stellar Award, hosted by the legendary Kirk Franklin and the leaders of the new school of contemporary gospel music, Jonathan McReynolds and Corinne Hawthorne. With performances by Ty Tribbett, Kiara Shear, JJ Hairston, Travis Green, CeCe Winans, when your life seems like it's upside down, Marvin Sapp, James Fortune, Pastor Mike Jr., and many more. Premiering Sunday, August 23rd at 6 p.m. on BET. Grab the family. Tune into the 35th Annual Stellar Award and prepare to get lifted.
Welcome back to Press Play. I'm your host, Cedric Fisher. Let's talk about COVID-19 and the health issues and things that are going on in the community. I want to show you real quickly, for those of you, again, just tuning in for the very first time, you can find this episode of Press Play on YouTube. Just look for the Black Video News Network logo or type in the search bar here, Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces. Black Video Network, all one word, no spaces. So we've got our own website, blackimpactsab.org, and I want to pull that up and just give you an idea, just to show you this website. It's COVID-19 comprehensive, culturally competent African-American community website. All things COVID. This comes from our family of great programs here under our nonprofit. If you tab over here and just look for the state of Texas, I'll just explain the tab at the top. We break it out by the city of San Antonio, the county of Bexar, state of Texas. And if you click on the state of Texas there, you're going to come to this particular page. And this page here breaks COVID and the numbers out by counties. You can see it running down the right-hand column. Over to the left, these are all the numbers currently for COVID in the state. So currently we have 520,000 confirmed cases of COVID, 9,602 fatalities. That's 9,600 deaths, and 2 deaths here in the state of Texas. If you go back to blackimpactsab.org and click on City of San Antonio, it's going to bring you to a page that looks similar to this, that looks like this. And this gives you the local numbers for City of San Antonio. So currently we have 560 deaths in City of San Antonio here, 43,673 cases positive, and 218 new cases today. And yesterday was a pretty significant day as well. Bottom line is COVID is still a menace to society, still rampaging, and we want to make sure everybody stays on top of it. This website here will give you all the local information. It's current, and again, this speaks specifically to our concerns as the African American community. As it relates to education, some schools have already opened, others are in the process of opening, and there's even some schools who haven't decided what they want to do with this year's school year. But do pay attention. We'll try and keep you updated as best we can on our website, blackimpactsab.org, and as well, blackvideonews.com. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Black history here, and want to ask the question, are you familiar with the Little Rock Nine?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Underwood, a comedian, actress, radio personality, and co-host of The Talk on CBS. By April 1st, your household will receive an invitation to complete the 2020 census and be counted. Simply answer a handful of questions online, by phone, or by mail as soon as you get your invitation. It's easy, safe, and important. The census is our chance to shape the future for our family and community for the next 10 years. The census determines how hundreds of billions of dollars flow into communities for health clinics, emergency services, transportation, historically Black colleges and universities, and more. Census data even helps your community create jobs. We all count, so encourage your family, friends, and neighbors to respond. Learn more at 2020census.gov.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Are you ready to be counted? Census 2020 is just around the corner, and we don't want you to be left out. The census affects housing, transportation, healthcare, public education, and public policy. Let's make sure that everyone in Bexar County is counted. This is your chance not only to shape our future, but everyone's future. When you get your invitation from the U.S. Census Bureau to participate, I'm counting on you. The census is a win-win for all of us, so make yourself count.
Let's talk about Black history. For those of you who may be aware, August is Black History, Black Business Month. So we want to make sure everybody focuses on Black businesses. And as a local directory, I'm going to introduce you to, if you're not familiar with, blacksinsanantonio.com. That's a product here from our family of fine media. And you can go to blacksinsanantonio.com, toss in any type of business in the search bar, and it will come up. Okay, let me ask you this question. Who's familiar with the Little Rock Nine? The Little Rock Nine. You've heard that story before. I'll give you some brief history on it. In the 60s, and this is actually in the 50s, after the Montgomery bus boycott got started, civil rights movement was in progress. A lot of the legislation that we were working on to get passed, voting rights, restaurant access, theaters, school integration, those things were happening in the 50s. Most of the legislation came down in the early 60s, however. Arkansas was the first state in the Union to do what they called back then forced integration. Forced integration. So the state of Arkansas took two high schools, one all black, one all white. They identified 10 students out of the black high school. There was a profile the students had to fit, stable families, good grades, to be able to go into this hostile environment and try and integrate an all-white high school. The all-white high school was Central High School. Again, if you do the research, go online and Google it, you'll find a lot of information about the Little Rock Nine. Had you ever asked yourself, how did they arrive at an odd number like 9? Why didn't there just be an even number? So here's the answer to that question. They started with 10 students that they chose from the African-American high school to integrate Central High School. But they needed parental permission. Of course, these were minors, 15, 16 years old. They needed permission from their parents. So parents had to agree that they would let their child integrate Central High School. And the way it was going to work was Miss Daisy Bates was a publisher in town in Little Rock, and she had a large station wagon. She would go around in the mornings and pick up the students and drop them off in the evenings. One of the students lived pretty far out. So her dad would have to drive her in, or Daisy would have to make a longer trip to go pick her up every day. And her father decided he was not going to make that drive every morning. He didn't want Daisy Bates to come out every day. He knew it was a very hostile environment. He said, I'm not sending my child in there. Ultimately, the group arrived at 9, and that's the history of the Little Rock Nine. Well, that 10th child, her father is my grandfather. My mom was the 10th student for the Little Rock Nine. She became an alternate, and we'll tell that story at some other time. I'm sure she's watching this episode. Mom, we may bring you on the show at some point to talk about the Little Rock Nine. That's a Black History fact. All upcoming episodes of Press Play will talk about a Black History fact. In fact, if you have a Black History fact that you'd like to offer or contribute to Press Play, just email cfisher@blackbookstudios.org. C. Fisher, Fisher, C. Fisher @blackbookstudios.org. All right, another Black History moment happening this week. If you are familiar with the Black Panther Party. And hopefully you've heard of this particular group. Long before Black Lives Matter came out and was a revolutionary movement, there was the Black Panther Party. This was in the late 60s into the early 70s. And one of the original founders, a gentleman by the name of Elbert Howard, one of the founders, died this week at 80 years old. We want to wish our condolences to his family. And he's got a great background of doing some significant things as a member of the Black Panther Party. Again, as a reminder, August is National Black Business Month. So support your African-American businesses, African-American owned businesses. We would like to, only because we've been introducing and plugging this particular restaurant this month. You can find it at blackvideonews.com. The Promised Land is yours. Promised Land International Flavors. I'm pulling up the website here, or at least our website, and it just kind of shows the chef, Mr. Fred Johnson, highly accomplished chef, phenomenal food, great restaurant here on the east side, 3363 East Commerce. And you can find their website, promisedlandif.com, promiselandif.com. Make sure you support your African-American businesses this month, all through the year, of course, but this would be African-American Business Month, and we would all appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break here, and coming up next will be our featured guest of the day. This is a very significant gentleman doing some incredible work globally. Has got a very distinguished background, and we'll introduce him when we come back.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Mills, a singer, songwriter, and actress. Today, I'm asking you to make sure everyone in your household is counted in the 2020 census. It's our chance to shape the future for our family and community for the next 10 years. By April 1st, your household will receive an invitation to complete the census. Counting everyone in my household, including my son who has Down syndrome, will help ensure that our family and our community gets federal resources to support health care, accessibility services, and more. The online census questionnaire is accessible to people with a wide range of disabilities. You can also respond by phone or by mail. It's easy and confidential. To learn more, visit 2020census.gov.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
breathe right into your foot,
your plumber's masseuse,
yes,
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Does your life matter? Education, health, and finance can determine your future and explain your past. Pick up the latest edition of Black Life Texas Magazine, a monthly outlook on life with an African American focus. Life is what you make it, so live it in the black.
Welcome back to Press Play. I'm Cedric Fisher. And tonight we're going to bring on our special guest of the week. Let me introduce this guest to you, and then we will have him introduce himself. Okay, he's a resident of San Antonio. He's brought water to Flint, Michigan, and Puerto Rico. Just marinate on that for a minute. Think about those catastrophes that hit both of those two areas. And he brought a concept called atmospheric water generation that he'll explain in a minute here. He's a retired Army Ranger, a pilot, an engineer. He's the CEO of AWG Contracting. He's also founder and CEO of Moses West Foundation. His degrees from Trinity University and Incarnate Word, and from the War College, a significant institution. He implemented the very first approval process in the state of Texas for the advancement and implementation of industrial atmospheric water generation technology. Think about that. And it provides a source of safe, clean drinking water for military families, disaster, and emergency response areas. That's a background. We'd like to welcome Mr. Moses West to Press Play. Welcome to the show, Moses.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And thank you to everybody for tuning in and wanting to hear about this. It's a wonderful invitation. I appreciate it.
We got some questions for you. Let's get started with just introduce your background to our viewing audience. Where you're from, one of 2 or 3 siblings, and just kind of introduce yourself.
Well, I'm here, living here in Texas, but I was actually born in Columbus, Georgia. My father was in the military, and from Georgia, he was stationed in Europe. I've got several siblings. I grew up with 6 sisters, so that kind of makes me the person I am today. But there's 13 different kids all together with my mother and my father. So I have a large family. So I grew up in Germany from all the way up until 1967. And then we came to Texas, and I've actually had an ID card ever since the time I was born. And I still got an ID card today because I'm retired. I've always been very adventurous. I loved everything that I did in the military. And so they took a look at me when I first came in, and they said, well, they didn't have enough African Americans in special ops, and they needed officers, some of us that fit the bill. And I guess I was one. I played football. I was a tailback here in Texas. I was quite fast. Not fast anymore, but I was fast then.
Okay.
And
who'd you play tailback for? Who'd you play tailback for?
I played for Cole High School.
Cole High School, okay.
Played for Cole High School and played with against a guy named Greg Gibson, who was one of my best friends. And Greg went on to play at Baylor, right behind Singletary. So we used to knock ourselves around pretty good when we were kids.
Okay.
Good.
So one of 13 siblings.
That's right.
6 sisters.
6 sisters here in Texas that I grew up with.
Interesting. Where were you in the birth order, by the way?
In the middle.
In the middle.
I'm right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay. Very, very active dinner table, I would guess.
Yes, it is.
So let's talk about your current work. Just describe what you currently do.
I've narrowed down to what I currently do is in the middle of COVID virus, what we're going through right now, in the middle of the health crisis that we have in the United States, in the middle of runaway climate change, which every single one of y'all have got to be feeling out there where the temperatures are 100 degrees constantly every day. And so many of us dying from the COVID virus. My message a few years ago was just a little bit different. When I brought this technology to the state of Texas, I found a small machine that was pulling water out of the atmosphere. And I looked at that small machine and I thought to myself, being from Texas, if there's a small machine that can do that, there's got to be a way to make a bigger machine to do it. So I started the process to try to find a way to do it on a larger scale. So I started looking at what was out there in the market to pull water out of the air, because speaking in scientific terms, we know that there's 3 sources of water. These 3 sources of water that we have always existed on the earth, and water comes in the form of a liquid, a solid, and a gas. That's it. There's 3 sources. And so we have all this gaseous water, and any woman who's got her hair done down in Houston and walks out the front door, the only thing she does is she just curses at humidity. It just destroys your hair. But what you're looking at in all that humidity is you're looking at, in actuality, trillions of gallons of water that we walk around in every day. And so when people walk around, they say, hey, we don't have any water to drink. It's 90 degrees outside and 98% humidity. You're walking around in all the water you need. And what I did over the years of moving from that little machine, improving this concept and the principles and the scientific principles behind it, right here in the state of Texas, at Trinity University, with the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality, the Lower Colorado River Authority, the United States military, I proved, sitting at Trinity, that you could pull industrial quantities of moisture out of the atmosphere and provide it to people for drinking. So we've done this, all of this testing in the state of Texas. There's a complete protocol that the TCEQ has made for me and my company and my technology, and I own all of that right here. So right now we have the capability to pull moisture out of the air. I'm doing it in Flint, Michigan today. I'm supplying an entire neighborhood with a large water generator that makes over 2,000 gallons of water a day in Flint. You don't hear about it because it's in the 4th Ward, and we're running it, the church is running it, the Sister Tour is running it, LaToya Ruby Frazier, the Rauschenberg Foundation, they've all donated to it. I put my money into it, and there's a whole neighborhood of people who can't even afford gas money who are drinking the purest water in the United States in the middle of this COVID virus. So there's a lot of things that I can do with this technology. But right now, it's water and saving lives. We did it in Puerto Rico, supplied an entire island with all of their drinking water on solar power.
That's incredible. How long did it take you to go from concept or blueprint to finished product?
I'm not very normal in some senses, because when I get onto something, I get onto it.
Okay.
So
you don't sleep until it's done.
I don't sleep until it's done.
Yeah.
I work like my grandparents were back in Georgia, let me tell you. So when I get it behind an idea, I had to teach myself. So in the patent process, nobody wanted to talk to me unless I had some intellectual property. So what I did was I found some machines that looked like they worked. I put together a systems and methods patent to combine all these machines together to produce industrial quantities of water using gas turbine generators, pulling the air through, and all the ways that I learned how to do in aerodynamics in the military as a test pilot. And I got my first patent. I got a patent for that. And then from there, I taught myself how to design my own machines. I just started taking things apart, looking at what was already there, and trying to get more efficient. So now I own the intellectual property for the most advanced machine in the United States that produces water. And I actually sell these machines right now to the United States military. And we're getting ready to branch out in other places, and we can talk about that a little bit later.
We're talking to Mr. Moses West about an innovative water technology. We're going to take a quick break and come back and hear some more about how interesting and exciting this new concept is.
Hi, I'm Monique Vernon, City Manager of the City of Kirby. The Census 2020 is right around the corner, and we need your help to make Kirby count. So when you receive your invitation to participate, please take it upon yourself to get involved. This will give us an opportunity to make critical decisions about needs not only in Kirby and Bexar County, but in the entire state of Texas. This helps with things like public transportation, emergency management, parks and recreation. So please participate in the Census 2020 and help make Kirby count.
One in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
This isn't about today.
It's about the next 10 years.
But this is something you can do today.
You can make a difference today.
By completing the 2020 census.
The census impacts hospitals,
schools,
public transportation,
and most importantly, our representation in government.
It gives us an opportunity to be heard.
It's easy.
It's only 10 questions.
So do your part.
Go to 2020census.gov and complete the census today.
What are you waiting for?
Does your life matter? Education, health, and finance can determine your future and explain your past. Pick up the latest edition of Black Life Texas Magazine, a monthly outlook on life with an African American focus. Life is what you make it, so live it in the black.
Welcome back. We're with Mr. Moses West, and he's talking about innovative water technology. He's got some great things that have been happening. Welcome back, Moses. Let's discuss now, why is there a need for more than ever for this technology? What would be your reason for or motivation for coming up with this technology?
The reasons that I came up with it was because I knew that we were going to run into runaway climate change, water contamination issues, which we see in every city around the United States right now, especially with perfluorinated compounds that we find in our water. PFOAs, Teflon, 3M and DuPont right now are about to go belly up, possibly for all the lawsuits that are coming out. And each one of us actually has PFOA, perfluorinated compounds in our systems. That's how prevalent it is in our society, and it's carcinogenic. It causes cancer, and it's in almost all of our groundwater. And so the technology using the water from the atmosphere is such a pure source, and using mechanics to pull that water out and then reducing that energy consumption to a level that's cheaper than groundwater, that means now you can sit in one place, produce all the water that you need off of solar power, use that same water to grow your food hydroponically, which is way more efficient with the technologies that we've developed today. So basically my foundation, the Moses West Foundation, I combine all of that technology with all of the engineers and all of my manufacturing, and I put that in there. So I don't live forever, this technology needs to go on. So everything that I do and build and own, intellectual property, profits from my company, goes into my Moses West Foundation, so that when I'm gone, that will be there to give scholarships to people, to teach people sustainability, to teach you how to grow your own food, to teach you how to unplug from people who are abusing you, to get back to where you should be as a society without being controlled by these utilities. Because right now, with solar power, that's sun power, that's the sun. You have electricity that detaches you from a corporate bureaucracy. Water, which is contaminated, sometimes it comes through your pipe. They can cut it off, give it to you as you need, as they desire. Mm-hmm. But with this technology advances humankind. With this technology, you can produce all of the water that you need. So if you have power and water, you have food.
Okay.
That's it. That is empowering. This technology is to empower you. To make you, if you want to go south of here where there's no utilities, just land, you can now do it. This is not a dream. This is what I do. And I've been doing it. And I remember sitting on the island over there in Puerto Rico, and the guys from Tesla, they were on the phone. And I was sitting there and I was watching that big machine run on solar power. It was pulling 480 volts out of a battery of stored sunlight. I sat there in a chair all night long looking at it, thinking how revolutionary that is. And someone would pull up and they would get some water, and I was thinking, I'm not connected to anybody's plug. Mm-hmm. I'm not connected to anybody's water pipe. I'm powering a hospital. I'm cranking out 2,000 gallons of water a day. I got a military guard down there protecting these people up, coming up, getting water. This is revolutionary. If I had a hydroponic food operation, I could still be sitting there right there, never leaving, growing my own food, and just being done with it.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the project you're working on in San Antonio. What can we look forward to locally here?
What you can look forward to locally is, you've got me here. Okay. I know how to build it. What I can do with this technology and work with Southwest Research Institute and Texas A&M and the University of Texas and all the engineers that I know, I would like to see the east side just completely be on solar power, producing its own water, bottling water, shipping water out, selling it, bringing all that income back into the neighborhood. All of the kids in the neighborhood come down, learn how to reconnect to the land by having good, clean water to learn how to farm, grow vegetables with. Then we start to talk about empowerment of learning advanced skills. Journeyman electricians, plumbing. You produce electricity from sunlight. You're learning how the 17 tenets of sustainability as directed by the United Nations is the goal for the world. The technology that I have and what I'm doing with it right now meets 7 of those. 7. And that's what the United Nations wants the entire world to go to. And I'm sitting with 7 of them. And those 7 that I have, they're not mine. They're mine to share with you and to share with you. And here on the east side, even if you decide to donate, all of that, there's no middleman between me and that. That comes in, that goes and builds a piece of equipment, and that goes where it needs to go. So the east side, what it should be, the beacon for every other disenfranchised society in the community in the United States, completely inclusive of everyone who needs good food and water without the long supply lines. All of your fruits and vegetables can be grown right here and then can go out. All of your children here are going to learn, when you have a system putting out 480 volts, that's a master electrician that does that. 480, 220, 320, 110, 12 volts, 32 volts, 3-phase, single phase, plumbing, piping, agriculture. All of these jobs and skills are required when you're making your own power and water and with the newest technology. That the children can leave here with good mentorship from other engineers that will come in here and work with them to pull them back out of the house in that controlled environment, back into nature, what we came from, what our grandparents came from. I don't know if any of y'all ever slopped a hog, but I'll tell you what, it's a learning experience, but it gets you closer. It gets you closer to nature. It gets us closer to each other.
Yeah.
By getting back to what we come from originally.
So then the educational community or industry can get involved and create a real ecosystem as they're preparing people for the workforce to do this type of work.
Absolutely. The children will have to, when they're doing something with this, they'll have to put a presentation together. They'll have to go through the entire thing. They will have to understand how alternating current, direct current works, how inverters work, how transformers work. They'll have to understand current. So they basically have to have a good understanding of mathematics and science. And these, if you can play a video game, you're going to be pretty good at math. Math is just a big game. But the entire universe is made up of mathematical theory. And when you're working with a technology that makes you have to produce water and power and to eat, you'll focus on that. And those are the building blocks for everything else we do in the society.
Very interesting. A couple of questions before we sign off here, Moses. We have the privilege of meeting some super folks here, a lot of leaders, movers and shakers, folks that are doing significant things in the country, in the world. And a lot of them happen to be African American, which is great. One thing we found each seem to have in common is they refer to a book. They have their go-to book that they read on either a daily, weekly, maybe a yearly basis. Maybe every couple of years they pick up the book and reread it. A lot of folks have read some books 5 to 20 times. That book is typically found on their nightstand. What book is on your nightstand?
I'm afraid to say. Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
The Art of War, okay. Okay. Now, why are you afraid to say that? That's a good book, by the way.
The Art of War.
A lot of folks have used that to motivate and direct their careers.
Well, I think The Art of War, what it does is if you take it out of context of a battle and absolute destruction of another person, what it does is it teaches you how to navigate people who necessarily do not want to see you succeed. It lets you see their move, their next move, before they even make it by the actions that they're doing right then and there. It teaches you how to circumvent people and still succeed. It teaches you how to take that person's negativity and actually magnify that negativity and use it against them to make them topple.
Interesting.
I like Sun Tzu.
Sounds like you've probably used some of the philosophies for this line of work that you're in.
You have to. The thing that keeps me going right now is I have to protect it for our communities, and I have got I've got one of the best law firms in the United States. Not many people say they like their attorneys. I love my attorneys.
Okay. That's helpful. Upcoming projects, anything else we can share with the viewing audience here? And I understand something happened in California recently. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yes, I'm very happy to announce that California, I did a water data symposium with folks out in California, and that's brought in the African nations now. So they're putting together a Zoom meeting where I actually get to address some of the heads of states of the continent of Africa on this technology. But what we're doing in California right now is what I've tried to do here in Texas ever since I first came up with this project, and that is the implementation of this technology by a state in their neighborhoods, and we're getting ready to do that right now. I guess this is the first time I'm actually announcing it.
How about that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good information. You heard it first. That's outstanding. And this is in Northern California, or?
Yes, this is outside. This is in the Oakland area, right outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And
Bay Area. Okay.
Absolutely pristine conditions to do this. Sunshine, they have moisture in the air, plenty of moisture in the air, and the Native American councils will be involved in this as well. So I've always been trying to find that inroads to the Native Americans, and this is the best way to do it. I'll be in one location. I'll stay there for a fair bit of time. I originally said I wanted to stay for 3 days, and they said, no, that's not going to work.
Okay. Need some more time.
Yeah. So I'm going to be there for a bit, but I'm actually looking forward to it because whenever I have equipment in the field, that's when I'm at my best.
Okay. When you go to a location like that, you're headquartered here in San Antonio. Do you hire folks there, or do you take your staff and your company with you?
My training, Dexter Moon, my top, the people out there who are in the military, you'll understand what top is, and he's my top NCO.
Okay.
And he's the guy that really keeps me straight. Then I'll take some of my engineers with me from the manufacturing plant and have them explain some of the finer details. But when we get there, the children from the neighborhood and the men from the neighborhood that are going to be doing this, they're going to sit down with me and sit down with Dexter and sit down with Matt and the rest of my engineers, and they're going to take a class on how to do all this work. I'll talk the first few days, and after that, I'm going to sit down and sit back because they have to take over now.
Interesting.
And then I'll evaluate them from there. So hopefully the rest of the time, all I got to do is run around, hug babies, and shake hands and say hi to people.
Give press conferences and talk shows and that sort of thing. So,
yes, because
that's a big part of it.
This has to be in your hands.
Yeah.
If this water runs out under the city, you should have one of these systems in your backyard being powered off solar on your roof. And then as I build more of these units, I'll continue to bring that price down. So the units right now are very robust because I build them for the military. But I need to scale it down because if you're not going to move it around, I don't have to build it to weigh 3,000 pounds.
Okay, very good. Last question, Moses, how can our viewing audience here help you and how do we get in touch with you, contact you?
Okay. Well, I have a website, and my website is awgcontractingus.com. And when you go up to the top there, there's a link that says donate, and that donation goes to the Moses West Foundation. But if you want to, most of the time what I'll try to do, if you find me on Instagram, or if you find, a lot of people find my number out on different things that have happened or letters that I've written. And I do try to talk to people, because many people want to call and just to talk about a situation that they're in or about this technology. And I do find blocks of time to make for people to do that, because I don't think I should be so far aloof on anything that I do where I don't engage with the people who are really interested in what I'm doing.
Okay. That's generous, because I know you're busy and in demand with a lot of your work. Mr. Moses West, CEO of AWG Contracting, Innovative Water Technologies. Make sure you look them up, and you have been a worthy audience for Press Play this evening. We appreciate you joining us. Look forward to seeing you again next week. You can find Press Play at blackvideonews.com or on YouTube, Black Video Network in the search bar. Scroll down to find this episode and press play. I'm your host, Cedric Fisher. Thank you for joining.